Aloha, y'all. It is Wednesday, Woden's Day, named after the god of the father god, the all god Odin in Nordic mythology, Woden. The 30th of March. March came and went. I don't know about y'all, but that was a fast one. Today is a sacral chakra day. We'll get into that in a second, Svadhisthana chakra, but I'll go through the astrology presently. On this 30th day of March, the sun is at 9 degrees 45 minutes Aries. The moon is at 12 degrees 53 minutes Pisces. Mercury's at 6 degrees Aries, conjunct the sun. Venus is at 23 degrees Aquarius. Mars is at 18 degrees Aquarius, loosely conjunct the sun. Or not the sun, rather. Mars and Venus are conjunct. Jupiter is at 20 degrees 56 minutes Pisces, conjunct the moon. Saturn is at 21 degrees 53 minutes Aquarius, conjunct both Venus and Mars. Uranus is at 12 degrees 48 minutes Taurus. Neptune's at 23 degrees Pisces. Pluto's at 28 degree Capricorn. Or I should say Neptune's also conjunct the moon and the Jupiter. And Pluto is at 28 degrees Capricorn with the North Node at 23 degrees Taurus. So, it is, like I said, a Svadhisthana. That is not true. It is not a Svadhisthana chakra day. It's like, wait a second, I just did this yesterday. I pulled the wrong card and got committed to it. It is a Manipura chakra day. It is a solar plexus chakra day. Third one up. So, root, sacral, Wednesday, Woden's Day. It's always going to be this. Manipura chakra day. It is the solar plexus. This is located below your ribs, right around your belly button, your navel. Key words are wisdom, clarity, and self-esteem. Positive aspects include confidence, alertness, optimism, and good humor, kind of like the big Buddha belly. Negative aspects are feelings of inferiority, over-analytical, sarcastic, pessimistic. So we want to be careful not to get too sad in the gut. Mantras Ram, R-A-M. Right, so when you're doing your chakra chanting, do it in the key of E. Spiritual activities include leadership programs, psychotherapy, and solitude. Essential oils are lemon, grapefruit, and juniper. Plant is carnation. Metal is iron and gold. Element is fire. Crystals are topaz, amber, and citrine. And the soul lesson is human and divine love. So, let's go ahead and pull some cards. I'm glad I caught that chakra because I was just like, it's not sitting right with me about it. I feel like I just did this because I did. So, my dreams were insane last night. Not surprising considering Jupiter, Moon, Neptune conjunct. Possibly one of the most surreal dreams I've ever had, where basically I was understanding what quantum multiverse entanglement and reflectivity is. So it's like if I had a thought, it would sprout up and then an infinite number of those, they were anthropomorphized. It was like, oh, skateboarder, I'm a skateboarder now. It's like, okay, there's a bunch of skateboarders. And now, oh, I'm a gymnast who's fighting that skateboarder, and it's hard to explain. I mean, this is a weird explanation of it, but very surreal dream. Almost like the film Paprika, really, if you've ever seen that anime. So let's go ahead and pull a card. What wants to pop? We've got the Five of Swords. With the sun conjunct Mercury in Aries, the moon is about to go into Aries soon enough. Not terribly surprising that this kind of bellicose energy is popping. And Saturn conjunct Venus and Mars can lead to some pretty severe energy. It can be a blessing and a curse. Saturn is about structures, rules, karma, and that's conjunct Venus, which is about love, openness, acceptance, creativity, kind of feminine values. Value in general, but feminine kind of receptivity. And then Mars is about your action and your ego. So it's like, and those are conjunct structure. So let's get into it. The swords are for the air signs. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius naturally going to resonate with this suit. And the description is as follows. Five of Swords, battling your inner demons, the compulsion to win, keeping a beneficial advantage and letting the past pile up around you, acting out of integrity, right? So that would be maybe the positive spin, the positive benefit of Saturn conjunct Venus and Mars, where we can start moving in Aquarius. We can start moving towards things of integrity and value, North Node and Taurus. Kind of the shadow of that would be like, Pluto and Capricorn, Saturn conjunct Venus, letting the past pile up around you and not doing anything about it. So we don't want to do that. We want to get on our minds and move forward, volitionally, through the will, through the solar plexus. So, Five of Swords is as follows. I must win at any cost. Hopefully this isn't, happening in the world stage or your personal life, but this is the energy we're getting. Winning of any kind involves sacrifices. At first glance, the difference between, quote, winning at a cost and winning at, quote, any cost might seem trivial, but deeper inspection uncovers the stories of lives and careers brazenly sacrificed, shattered, and broken in the conflagration of a blinding obsession and a quest for power, right? So the shadow of our willpower can be Aries, Sun, conjunct Mercury, I've got to win at all costs, and we become delusional to to anything else. Moon and Pisces, conjunct Neptune, conjunct Jupiter, where it's like you have a dream and you're willing to kill for your dream, right? So hopefully that's not happening. In the conflagration of a blinding obsession and a quest for power, Saturn, conjunct Venus and Mars, right? Where it's like, I'm going to quest and dominate. People cease to be people, rather becoming objects merely helping or hindering progress. You stop seeing the humanity of people and just start seeing them as objects to manipulate like pawns on a chessboard. Colleagues become competitors. Family and friends are dead weight. The ancient Roman orator Marcus Tullius Cicero is quoted as saying, quote, inter arma enim silent legis, often misused, or its quote means in Latin, in times of war the law falls silent. Which even today leaders with a relentless drive to succeed have used to justify their immoral actions, right? The ends justify the means. It's like the law will be quiet when I'm doing what I'm doing as a nation leader or whatever. Ignoring laws to get what you want, conquering at all costs. This is the shadow of Saturn conjunct Venus and Jupiter, right? Where it's like, I'm going to control things and it's going to go this way or else. Hopefully, ideally, this Aquarius kind of Saturn, Venus, Mars situation conjunction is for the benefit of all, for moving humanity forward. But the shadow of it is totalitarianism, right? And there's a lot of, not necessarily totally delusion, but with Jupiter conjunct Moon and Neptune right now, in Pisces, it's this kind of like I said, my dreams were crazy. The media is hyping up the Oscars situation like it's the biggest thing in the world. It's like there's much more important things than potential staged or not slaps between actors of a guild that you're not a part of, right? So, but that's where our attention is being drawn. The media is all about distraction and delusion. So this demonstrates the dangerous manipulation of words taken out of context. The art depicts a man, sword in hand, poised to strike. Below him, another man kneels. He is surrendered, apparently injured, his life force draining. Their struggle is set in a cold, uncompromising land. The remains of death littering the landscape, signifying the physical and emotional carnage that follows in the wake of those prepared to sacrifice anything to achieve their goal. Sun and Aries, right? It's like, I will fight, I will kill. In a flash of brilliance, the radiant hand of John the Baptist, said to have baptized Jesus, appears, very Moon in Pisces, right? As if to awaken the aggressor from their trance, the aggressor stands composed, ready to strike another blow to secure the victory. The scene is frozen in time, posing the question, what will happen next? Will this sword fall, or will this man be spared? Within the pause, within that instant, another possibility can be born. The drive and determination to succeed in an endeavor is admirable. The aspiration to positively influence and have a maximum impact in one's community and further afield is exemplary. So there's positivity in the action of Aries, right? Getting things structured and accomplished and meaning taking care of business, right? That is very Saturn conjunct Mars and Venus in Aquarius right now. But the shadow of that is, are you taking care of business at the cost of your relationships, at the cost of keeping your humanity, at the cost of being compassionate? In a flash of brilliance, the radiant hand of John the Baptist appears, as if to awaken the aggressor from the trance. The aggressor stands composed and ready. The scene is frozen in time, posing the question of what will happen next. Will the sword fall, or will this man be spared? And I know a lot of us are wondering that, just in general in the zeitgeist, what will happen next? That's how we all feel kind of right now. Within the pause, within that instant, another possibility can be born. The drive and determination to succeed in an endeavor is admirable, and the aspiration to positively influence and have maximum impact in one's community and a further afield is exemplary, but not if you leave a trail of destruction. That is the Aries Sun conjunct Mercury, kind of Pluto in Capricorn, kind of shadow. The Five of Swords represents the galvanizing force of ambition, of striving towards a goal. It requests you to look carefully at what you may be fixated on in terms of an outcome or acting out of integrity. Looking at the ways you are being self-righteous. Do you place the need to be right above and over loving and respectful connection? The compulsion to win, right? So this is very Aries, Sun, Moon, and Pisces. Aries conjunct Mercury is like, I want to win and I want to be me. And then the Moon and Pisces conjunct Jupiter and Neptune right now is compassion. You have a choice point there. Is it all about you, or is it about you being the best you can be within context, within community? Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius. Mars in Aquarius conjunct those two. Do you place the need to be right over and above loving and respectful connection? The compulsion to win, to always be right, cuts away at the heart of life. We are asked to consider whether it's worth the sacrifice. There's always a pregnant pause available when we are presented with the opportunity to take a different action. The realization is that the drive is the winner. You are not. Right? So we are all being led by our actions, our ego, Sun and Aries. Our minds and our ego are very on fire right now, saying, I want to do this and I don't really care what it costs. Conjunct, Sun and Aries conjunct Mercury. But we need to be aware of the cost and take deep, sober breaths in order to see the playing field. You don't want to get so caught up in your battle that you get stabbed from behind or, cut up a friend on the battlefield, friendly fire. That's the kind of energy here, right? So this is about battling your inner demons, the compulsion to win, keeping a beneficial advantage, letting the past pile up around you, and acting out of integrity. So we want to be acting in integrity, using our willpower, our fire, our Manipura chakra as the source, the vehicle for our actions, and keeping an emotional, this is confidence is good and alertness, right? These Aries, Sun conjunct Mercury aspects, but optimism and good humor is a lightness of being, Pisces moon. Maybe even an irreverence towards authority and structures, Saturn conjunct Venus and Mars in Aquarius, right? You don't have to take it too seriously or else you do freak out and basically nobody wins. So you got to be careful out here in the game of life. Let's go ahead and get a clarifying card. We got the Two of Wands. More fire, of course. More fire. Well, I love how this Five of Swords isn't fire, but it's very fiery to me. Right? It's like Aries, Sun, Mercury kind of action going. Ego, ego, ego. So we got to be careful of that. Let's read the clarification, or let's read what this means. If you're a wand, you're going to be an Aries, a Leo, or a Sagittarius. And wands are about your spirit, basically, your passion. And it is as follows. I dare to choose. And what are you daring to choose? To be loving in spite of the convenience of being willful, right? Getting your way is fine, but getting your way at all costs, not such a good look. And I dare to choose what? To make choices, to choose from your will point, your Manipura chakra. You've got to move through your actions of decision making, not just keep it in your head, not just daydream, Pisces moon conjunct Jupiter and Neptune. You got to, it's a combination of dreaming well and acting well in the world through integrity, Saturn conjunct Venus. For a better world, North Node of Taurus. About gaining perspective, waiting for the right moment, drafting plans, looking out to the future, right? So we are looking forward and saying, what's going to happen? We're caught in this kind of pause choice point. We're saying, is this guy going to kill his friend or enemy or whatever this is? Is he going to have a namaste moment and have John the Baptist, the grace of God, come in and go, you know what? I don't have to murder you. We'll just arrest you. Or, you know what? Maybe I'm in the wrong and I'm acting out of anger and you're not even the bad guy and I'm just being hyper zealous and bellicose, warring. So with the Two of Wands as the clarifier, we really do need to keep our passions in check, decide to take the high road. That's a will choice. You're always confronted with choices, just like in the movie Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. Don't always go for the, like the Nazis are very much a warring kind of domineering force, and they forced Dr. Jones and his son to go find the Holy Grail and use all their expertise and stuff and betray them and all this kind of love, intrigue, triangle stuff's going on. But they get to the Holy Grail part, the penitent man shall pass, all this kind of stuff. They get through it. And the Nazis like, I'm going to pick the most flashy, ornate, right? The choice point was his. I'm going to pick the most flashy cup. And Indiana Jones is like, a wooden cup. That's simple as fuck. And it's the wooden cup, right? They both had a choice point in their will to make a decision based off of their ideas, Five of Swords. but you know, not that you can succumb to like winning at all costs, where it's just like, oh, this is what I want, and I don't care about paying attention to the details. Indiana Jones was like, Jesus was a carpenter, probably worked with wood, he was humble, right? He wasn't like this pope figure covered in gold chalice shit yet. That's the church or whatever. So what we have with the Five of Swords as the card of today is, and what's coming to mind is at the end of the Indiana Jones and the Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, when he's holding on to the Nazis, the blonde chick's hand, right? And she's falling into the crack, and she makes a choice to try to get the cup. I mean, in a sense, she's like, do I want to live, or do I want to like get this artifact and be famous and rich, or whatever's going to happen? And she used her will poorly. And he's like, you're slipping, your glove's slipping. She's like, I think I can reach it. She chose poorly. And even that's the whole theme of that movie, kind of, in a way. You have chosen poorly. You have chosen wisely. So we're being given choices today in our minds. Our minds are on fire right now, right? Five of Swords, our minds are on fire with aggression, Aries Sun, Mercury conjunct Aries Sun. And we got a lot of fire in our belly, literally, Manipura chakra. So we need to be making wise choices and seeing bigger picture stuff. You can't just be so consumed with a goal that you lose sight of what you're doing. And that's kind of actually even something I've been thinking about personally. It's like I'm here in Costa Rica for who knows how long. And I'm like, what's next? I'm trying to make these decisions, Two of Wands, right? For my mind to feel like I'm on top and in the best situation. And I need to be like, where I am presently. I mean, this is good for all of us, but right, we need to get in our bellies, right? And be like, the choice point is in the present. It's not in the past, though that influences the present. And it's not in the future, though that becomes the new present. You can't just live in what ifs. It's good to be wise and plan, Saturn conjunct Venus and Mars and Aquarius, because that helps, foster a better world in a sense, and you can, really put up fences for your garden and water properly and make your garden bloom, North Node and Taurus. But you don't want to get so caught up in your mind and the what ifs that you don't live in the present moment and enjoy what you've got, your blessings, your opportunities, the sound of the birds, consider the lilies, smell the roses, kind of thing. So it's that balancing point between the action of all this Aries energy, this fire, and this moon conjunct Neptune, conjunct Jupiter and Pisces, where it's just like, go with the flow. It's somewhere in the between. Release, right? Jaguar is the answer here for this card. And in order to make our decisions more clearly, we need to really release our ego, our mind. And this is a choice. Sometimes we're like, I'm only as powerful as my decisions. And it's like, sometimes, as Rush says, if you choose not to decide, you still make a choice. You're always affecting things. That's kind of how my dream was, right? Where it was like, no matter what action's taken, it creates an infinite splintering multiverse of that polarity, or that anthropomorphized effect, if you want to put it that way. So it got so crazy. It was just like, if you've seen Harry Potter, I forget which one it is, but when they go into Gringotts and they touch the gold and it just multiplies like that, that's kind of how it was. It's like, if I touch someone's hand, their infinite version's multiplied, and then it's like, whoa, there's not a whole lot of room for both of us. And just kept going and going until I realized that's kind of how everything is. It's like all one thing that just kept infinitely splintering because of choices and polarities. And that's the world we live in, basically. So release, Jaguar, on page 42. The meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Release what you no longer need. Take actions, right? Sun and Mercury and Aries, to move something from the ideas world into the physical world. We do want to do that. It's not just about being pie in the sky dreamers. We want to make bold moves, but we want to do that in a way that's considerate and not just personally ambitious at the cost of all others. We want to remain friendly, and we want to remain aware that others are involved, and that's when we're going to make our best decisions. Two of Wands. From a place of spirit that's inclusive. So it's both and. It's self-aware and other-aware. Taking action to move towards something from the ideas world into the physical world, letting go of the old and stale, choose renewal. Wash away the negative aspects of the past, surrender it all, and embrace the new, right? So this guy could be like, well, I'm Israel and I'm Palestine and we've always been fighting, or, I'm a Montague and you're a Capulet, or whatever. Like, we're enemies. And he's like, are we? You can have a choice point, right? Two of Wands, where your perspective literally changes, and that gives you a new source of confidence, a new source of awareness and alertness in the world, Manipura chakra. But you have to release that which no longer serves you and kind of get off the stories of your ego, your mind, Five of Swords, that say you're in some kind of competition and you've got to be the number one, alpha in all things. That's just, you're going to have a weird judgment or, a death or trip or however you want to put that of life. Mythos is as follows. Ixchel, the fierce jaguar goddess of the ancient Mayan culture, was the goddess of midwifery, fertility, earth, rain, and the sacred sweat bath. Widely honored, her cult extended at one time as far as the islands off the east coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. It was she who women turned to at the time of birthing, right? And that whereas the baby gestating and growing in the belly, near the solar plexus, having a baby is a choice. I mean, some people are like, oh my gosh, babies are actions. It's like, not really. You and that soul have contracted this. You've made a choice. And you've got to be aware that your life, I mean, I'm not going to be a father probably, but your life is not going to be changed, and you have to be considerate of that life in the woman's stomach for the woman, the baby coming on board online for the man. It's you're going to have to release some things in your habits and path. So at the birthing time, the woman was oiled and flowers were put into her hair, very northern Taurus. We're going to make you beautiful and comfortable, girl. Right? It's like going to their equivalent of a spa day, I guess. The sweat bath, solid and womb-shaped, was prepared and the rainwater barrels gathered ready for the purging steam. Right? And with the moon in Pisces conjunct Jupiter and Neptune, the steam and stream of water, the heated water, Aries sun, moon in Pisces, can lead to what? Release. That's what we're trying to do here. Prayers to Ixchel in her jaguar form were offered. The woman would enter the sweat bath for some days until her labor began, right? Saturn conjunct Venus. It's like, I'm going to have this baby, but it's going to be work. And I'm going to have to do certain actions. Mars conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. She heard songs of her ancestors, very Aquarius, right? Of her tribe, of the gods, and especially of Ixchel. It was she who granted and would aid the birth. Stories were told to fill the spirit of the woman's baby and make it strong and healthy. She would begin her labor and sweat for the release. She would then leave the sweat bath and give birth outside. Offerings were made to the jaguar goddess to celebrate the birth, and then the mother would re-enter the steam bath to purge herself of the afterbirth and of any toxins in her body, right? She's trying to be as strong as she can be. It's a choice. It's like, okay, well, we found a way to hack this. We go into the steam bath and basically fight through the labor, the birth labor, make it as pleasant as possible, and then you choose to sing songs of spirit, two of wands, and identity into this character that's being birthed, hopefully afterwards releasing the toxins, releasing kind of all the stress and negative energy, all that jazz. She would leave the sweat bath a mother, no longer a maiden, one day to become a grandmother. The animal, if there was one word you could use to describe this particular member of the genus Panthera, it is powerful. Very Capricorn in Pluto, Pluto and Capricorn. Jaguars are built powerfully, emphasizing their strength right down to their bones. And that is Saturn rules the bones. That's conjunct Venus and Mars. So it's like this thing's identity and ego. Mars is beautifully and wonderfully made in the womb of creation, like this mother's birth in the stomach, Manipura chakra, solar plexus. And it's powerful to the bone. Saturn conjunct those. They are stocky and low-slung with robust legs that can leap on and crush their prey. They are adept at swimming and can crawl silently through thick jungle. Their jaws are particularly well developed, and comparative bite force studies show that they possess the greatest force above clouded leopards, tigers, and lions. They're stronger, right? So in a sense, they're even built to dominate and kill everything. They have to choose which animal to confront. You don't want to just fight every other big animal out there, or else you're not going to live too long as a jaguar. This enables them to literally pulverize the biggest bones of their prey. Jaguars are typically spotted, but come in melanistic variations of what are called black panthers. These particular panthers are only found in South America, whereas the pattern-coated jaguars are found right across North Central and South America, including the Amazon and Mexico. African and Asian panthers are called leopards. The jaguar is the apex predator in most of its habitats, yet it is threatened by habitat loss and the killing by humans. The magic on page 44. Call upon the releasing powers of the jaguar woman Ixchel when you're ready to let go of something, right? Let go of a grudge. Let go of something that's holding you back, like a commitment in your mind where it's like, I have to do this or else I'm killing myself. I don't have free time. I don't have extra money because I'm putting it all towards this one thing. Maybe that's the decision that you're not supposed to be doing, and you're supposed to decide to let that go, to be gracious in the face of intensity, right? Release. So whether it's an excess of something, a bad habit, a disease, or an old pattern, Ixchel is a powerful discharging force. For those who are ready or getting ready for birth, she is a wise guide and will assist you to have an easier birth. Symbology is a sweat bath, upturned water jug, woman with a jaguar ear, Steam. See here, this dog? That dog thinks there's a battle always. And it's like, I will kill all things. It's like, it doesn't really have a choice because it's just a crazy dog. I guess it could be trained differently, but that's just the way it is, right? You don't have to be that animalistic and primitive yourself. You can release that part of yourself and rise. Status of jaguars is threatened, so we want to be a little more cognizant of our animal friends. Hopefully they don't die off, but in a sense, they're living their best life, kind of making their choices as an apex predator. See the yellow of the solar plexus. They are actually lethal as fucking killing machines, but that is something that we are capable of being, but don't have to be. And Holler for a reading. It might be in your design. Like, I've talked to people who are Capricorn stelliums or whatever, and it's like, oh, you're going to be a ruthless business person. You know, like crushed skulls, basically. It's in your willpower motivator as a Capricorn stellium would be like to achieve. And that's just the way it is. Now, there's better and worse ways you could do that. So we want to be, you know, aware and stuff. But ultimately, that's a very different vibe than someone who's maybe a Pisces stellium or a Cancer stellium. Someone here to nurture or to dream. So let's go ahead and get, I think I got this 2 days ago, maybe 13, with Saturn conjunct Venus and Mars in Aquarius. It is about the group going on. This is number 13, the I Ching hexagram. So it is as follows. I open up right to it. Communion with humanity, right? And we're always in communion with humanity, and then it's our choice point for Two of Wands, right? Oops, holding upside down. Two of Wands is the clarifier. It's our choice on how we interact with humanity. Are we running around? God, I'm holding it all upside down. Are we running around killing everybody and taking what we can, like Viking pillagers? Or are we being aware of others? Are we being a victim and not standing up for ourselves against tyrannical kind of energy? I just dropped part of the booklet, of course. It's falling apart. Nature of the game. So, communion with humanity. Complete togetherness with humanity is only possible if you share a common goal and everyone is free to develop their individual talents, right? We have to have choice in this reality. That's why, you know, hardcore communism doesn't really work, because everyone's just kind of like, submit to this mold or else you get your head cut off, right? At the same time, we've got the issue in America where we haven't released enough of our toxic willpower, so we think it's all about money, sex, and fame or something like that, and we're being killed by our egos and not maybe making the right choices as a culture. So we can only be ourselves if we're allowing everyone to be themselves, basically is what it's saying. So if everyone's free to develop their individual talents, right? Very Saturn, Aries, Mercury and Aries conjunct, where it's like you're an individual, but at the same time, Saturn, Venus, Mars conjuncted in Aquarius, who has to play on the set of life. Like you're an actor on the production team. Only then can harmony rule and yield a sense of unity. If you wish or are requested to take on responsibility in a team or group, very Saturn in Aquarius, you should ask yourself honestly whether you possess sufficient strength and clarity of thought for that task, right? Sometimes you're presented with, you got to make wise choices. Not every opportunity is for you. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right? Just because you can kill this person doesn't mean you should. Just because you can dominate everybody doesn't mean you should. Just because you have the upper hand, or it's obvious that you're going to win or something, maybe the lesson there is to use your Manipura chakra, your willpower, your solar plexus to release, right? The yellow of the Manipura, to release from the ego of that position and just kind of let be. In the movie, Terrence Malick film Tree of Life, Terrence Malick's got some really heady, cool artistic films, but this movie got Brad Pitt in it and Ron Howard's daughter, I forget her name off the top of my head. She was in The Village. One of the scenes shows a dinosaur choosing not to kill, basically, a very helpless animal. And because it made that choice, it's like the seed of compassion, the seed of releasing from the ego at a level, the seed that allowed for communality to arise above interspecies kind of starts. It kind of paints that picture. So a sense of justice, right? And maybe we have to release our sense of self-righteousness, or such like America's always right, or war is always the answer, or money is everything, and relaxation's not. Like we got to be very cognizant of the choices we make in our spirit, because they create who we are. Sorry, there's a loud little tractor going by. A sense of justice, social awareness, and organizational skills are further essential for the job, right? Organizing and being clear-minded, Saturn in Aquarius, about the reality. Support the objectives of your group unconditionally and ensure the equal rights of each participant. This is not the time to make a name for yourself on your own terms, right? It's not the time to try to, in a sense, with the Sun in Aries and Mercury in Aries conjunct, like we want to be heroes of our story and be like, I'm gonna go, do all of Hercules' 10 feats or whatever. It's like maybe right now is the time to like be still and know, and that's a choice, right? But we got so much fire that we're like, I want to do all the things, and how do I do it? And we have to release the ambitions at a level in order to better flow with the group. And that is a decision of the will. Doesn't mean you put out the fire. It means you tend it and keep it in check, or else you will get a conflagration that you can't handle. You'll be consumed by your desires, your ego, and nobody wins then. It's a trip in a dream, a journey of its own, karmically, when that happens, but we all prefer certain movies to others, and let's try to do that. So we've got Amethyst popping here. Very Neptune moon conjunct Jupiter and Neptune moon and Jupiter conjuncted Pisces. I can't think. Amethyst, what it is. Amethyst, and you can quantumly entangle with this. You don't have to own Amethyst, but props if you do. North Node Taurus Rockhound you. What it is, Amethyst is a lilac to dark purple semi-precious gemstone from the quartz family. The ancient Romans, who are the ultimate version of, the empire's will, Manipura, we're going to go out there and dominate the rest of the world and make aqueducts and roads. Hail Caesar. It has effects, right? The ancient Romans believed amethyst got its lush purple color when the god Bacchus spilled wine on a clear stone. Today, amethyst is believed to assist in connecting with the big guy in the sky, very moon in Pisces, conjunct Jupiter. Who needs it? Train wrecks who go off the rails on the wet and wild route to Bacchanalia. Any Pisces, where the moon, like I said, Neptune and Jupiter are, but anybody who's just going all in, right? And they were talking about hedonistic all in, but this is like maybe someone who's bloodlusting. It's like, Khaleesi style. It's like, I'm going to dominate and kill, and I'm going to go for it all, and I don't really care. If you've ever seen Game of Thrones, she makes a choice, but ultimately she doesn't release herself from her ambitions, and her ambitions cause her to literally, with a sword, kind of kill her potential love, and the whole town, the whole world is basically burned to the ground and razed because of her willpower not being in check, right? So you have an ego and a willpower, that's good, but how are you managing that? And you need to release slowly over time, right? Your lower nature to your higher nature. It's kind of what we're being asked to do in life. That's the purpose of the dream, y'all. Shocker, spoiler alert. So, train wrecks who go off the rails on the wet and wild route to Bacchanalia, any Pisces. Where to put it? The interior decorator's little purple secret. Amethyst can uplift the vibe of any living space. When to use it? When it's time to give up the victim routine, right? When you need to release and make a choice, right? Two of Wands, when you need to release what? Victimization. Maybe you're on this side of things. You're like, oh, I can't do anything because I'm afraid of Russia or the Ukraine or whatever. I'm afraid of where money and things are going to go. I'm afraid I wear a mask when I'm by myself outside. I'm afraid, right? You need to release that shit. And that's how you rise up into the better identity with the group. We're all waiting for each other to wake up, snap out of it. That's kind of what we're here to do. So this is uplifting any living space. When it's time to give up the victim routine and start living with purpose, so the purpose of what? The selfhood, ego, once again. So it's not a bad thing. Aries, your identity, Mercury and Aries conjunct the Sun. Your identity is very individual, but are you being so ambitious that you're hurting yourself or others? Are you making choices, Two of Wands clarifier, that don't help the whole ultimately? Because that's what my dream was all about last night. It's like everything that sprouts from my actions and thoughts is an aspect of me that I have to now entangle and dance with, or something like that. So I digress. So when it's time to give up the victim routine and start living with a purpose, hold on tight to Amethyst. This is get drunk on your highest self. That is some Pisces, Moon, Neptune, Jupiter conjunct stuffs, right? Your highest self, the unity self, the part that is popping through the whole, it's like black and white chess. Oh my God, we're locked in wits in battle, and I got to use my mind and dominate you, and I got to win at all costs. And then there's this like spirit that comes in and says, you don't have to make this choice. You don't have to live, Cain, you don't have to kill your brother Abel. Sid is knocking at the door, but you don't have to make that choice. Release your anger. Release your fear. Ultimately, anger comes from fear because we think we can't control things. We have a power of fire in our bellies, the Manipura chakra, the willpower of the solar plexus. We can influence things, but when we start thinking we can dominate and manipulate everything, or we've given up that fire in our bellies and we're just a victim to everything, which is a choice ultimately, and we've surrendered too much in a sense, we're not our best selves. So we need to get drunk on our highest self with Amethyst. And it's a paradox, I gotta say. You're exactly where you need to be, and we're moving targets, right? So it's like we're moving in the dream, but you're like the present moment is the exact film strip of the film that you're in, and the character lines and actions that you're supposed to be doing. You need to be accountable for these things. I think one day we're gonna laugh and say, we had no free will, ironically. We had no choice maybe, and we were always just resonating with certain frequencies and flipping around. I don't know how that works. That's kind of a Pisces moon idea. But while we're in the dream, while you're giving your, saying your cues and kind of walking on the stage of life, make sure that you're aware of the other actors. Oops, I'm holding all these up upside down constantly today. Aware of the other actors on the stage, right? It's not just about you going for your ambitions and killing everybody at all costs. It is not all about you sacrificing everything like a Pisces moon, right? Boundaryless emotionally and saying, oh, well, I'll let them go first all the time. It's like sometimes you really do have to put yourself first. I mean, that's a crazy way to put it. But make decisions that are wise, keeping the collective and yourself in both awareness fields, right? It's not one or the other. It's not either or. It's both and. This John the Baptist guy's coming in and saying, hey, they're your enemy, but that's you. Namaste. So don't do that. We need to get drunk on our higher selves, our highest self, right? By releasing that which no longer serves us, and that is a choice. To burn it in the fire of the belly, to make better, more powerful decisions that ultimately make a dream that's good for you and me and the whole of creation, right? Animals, plants, the birds and the bees and all that jazz. So if you've enjoyed this, what up, Lennon? If you've enjoyed this, leave a tip. Tag your friends if you think they've liked it. Share it, whatever's clever. We've got a podcast today with Andreas Exertus. He's been on a bunch. He actually just had a Vice, Vice News. They did a special on him because he's obsessed with Tartary. So I think they did a kind of is this guy delusional? Kind of, not a hit piece, but kind of like a semi-tongue-in-cheek, like, is this real? Flat earthers and ufologists and Bigfoot people and Tartarians. But that's his, his choice, his will goes in that direction. He's an awesome Pisces. So check out the podcast. We're at 275 episodes. And yeah, holler for readings if you want. I love giving them. People love getting them. Only got 5 stars. So how many people could say that about their products or services? Not many, I promise. But hey, it's your choice. You could be a victim to life or you can get more informed. But you don't want to take that information so far that you got to release that ego identity, your ego, your solar plexus. At some point, you're going to release all the things that you've ever been in your DNA and your ambitions and stuff. That choice will be made for you upon death, and then you'll join at a higher level, right? Getting drunk on your highest self at that point, Amethyst. So, holler for readings if you want. $33 for an hour of cards, $88 for 3 hours of astrology, $111 for both. And I hope that you have a beautiful Woden's Day, tending your fire of power, your source of kind of decision making. Because up here is a processor, and your heart is like what kind of inspires the dream. But ultimately, your actions are governed through your Manipura, your solar plexus chakra, where you're like, this is what I'll do, and I'm going to go do it, and I'm moving forward. So make good moves today on this Woden's Day, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Adios. Bye.